So I really get annoyed with this idea of failure. I study failure. This is my main area of interest. I'm a professor of business, and I really think this is the most ridiculous thing in the world. We think that the world should work easily as we pursue something. And if we don't get the right combination at the get-go, or if we don't take the right steps and we don't get the outcomes that we expected, we feel inside that we are somehow failures. I feel like that all the time. I feel like this whole project is not working out. This whole reciprocity project, the sort of sharing economy platform that I'm building to help us create non-rejectable research papers and make us have fun at the same time. I feel like this doesn't work out. I feel my entire career as an academic, I feel like I am a complete failure and a fraud, and I don't know what I'm doing. And I want you to know that everybody feels like that when you are trying something that is difficult, trying something that hasn't been proven. And the reason is really simple. And I can talk about the sort of statistics of this, but I want you to know whenever we explore and we come up with some sort of scientific fact as a social scientist, we do a bunch of math, a bunch of regression. And at the end of it, we're explaining 10% of the variance of all of the things that are moving around. We're trying to explain 10%. And then we have what we forget about is that there's 90% of the world we can't explain. 90% of everything that we see is just a bunch of mess. So what does that do? That encourages us to believe that we understand the world. I felt like that coming into the Reciprocity Project. I was like, yeah, I'm a highfalutin professor. I know how to do all this kind of stuff. And sure enough, it hasn't worked out the way that I thought it would. But that doesn't make me a failure. That doesn't make you a failure if you go into something and you don't know how the world actually works. So what do? How do you deal with this? Well, what you need to do is think about, I don't understand the world. You have to get out of your head and stop being so, and I hate to say this, but you're very self-interested. You think that you understand everything. And the truth is you don't. You don't understand how the world actually works. And so how do you get away with that? How do you deal with that? You view this as one little moment in time that you just need to repeat and do again. And you repeat and you do it again and you do it again and you do it again. Just like how you're going to get good at doing push-ups, or how you're going to get good at walking or learning a language. I want you to go back out and reflect on my kids learning a language. You might think, hey, you learned a language really quickly. No, it took you 8-9 years by the time that you're competent enough in language. And that's a lot of work that's being fully exposed all the time to a new language that you actually began to understand that. So I want you to reflect on that. The other thing I want you to reflect on is be okay with failure. In the sense of expect that you're not going to know everything along the way and that you're going to be a mess. And it's okay to be a mess. It's okay to get an F on something. So what if you screwed up, right? Like, who cares? Get back up and do it again. I don't know a single person that talks about their grades or later on in life. I don't know a single person that thinks that they should have done something differently because of the grades that they actually got. A lot of people are thinking about how I am pathetic or not so good in the moment, but I want you to look around. I want you to look at all of the screw-ups in life. Many of them have rebounded. And I know that sounds terrible to talk about that, but there's a lot of screw-ups in life, right, that have done things that you're like, oh man, what the heck happened? A lot of people get thrown in jail and thrown in prison for 10 years, and they come out and they do wonderful things at the end of it. Many people do all sorts of really stupid things, and then they do wonderful things at the end of it. And I want you to think about this. Like, there is many moments where you're going to dwell in the land of failure, what I call the land of failure, where you're thinking like, I'm just pathetic, I don't know what I'm doing. It's supposed to be that way. You don't know what you're doing. So get back up and you do it again. And you repeat and you repeat and you repeat until someday it clicks. And if it doesn't click, oh well, like at least you got up and you did it again. I want you to look around all of the people. I talk about this a lot. So I had a swim coach at one point that used to say, like, you're not doing good enough and you should be going faster and all that kind of stuff. He's a wonderful swim coach, but I often will remind him, I want him to look around the pool and see how many other 40-year-olds are actually swimming at the same time. I was the only one. And I want you to reflect on that. I want you to think about that. Many of the things that you're going to do that you're going to feel like you're a failure, you're the only one. You're the only one that's actually trying to do this, and nobody else has done this. So unless you've gone through it and experienced it and gone through all of those motions, other people don't know what they're talking about. And you have to go through that every day. You have to experience it every day where you feel that feeling inside where you feel like a failure. And I want you to embrace it and love it and turn it around and think like, I'm pretty freaking awesome right now because I'm actually doing this. And I know that seems very self-centered, but it's the self-centeredness is realizing you don't know anything about the world and thinking that you can control the world and understanding it. In fact, this is a lot of humility where you come into it with a quiet confidence and you realize, I don't know anything about the world, but I'm going to do it anyways. And I'm going to look like a complete buffoon. I'm going to be all messed up. I'm not going to know what I'm doing. I'm going to look stupid, right? I'm talking in front of an iPhone right now when it's raining outside. I'm going to look stupid as people are driving by, and I'm going to be okay with that. I want you to embrace the same thing. I don't know what I'm doing when I'm building something. I don't know a clue about how to program properly, but I'm building an entire software platform. I want you to think about that. How do I do that? I get up and I embrace the feeling that I am a big buffoon every day, and I'm okay with that. I'm a bumbling idiot, and I'm okay with that. That's quite all right. I'm going to keep trying. That's all right. Let's do it. Let's get back out there and have some fun.